I feel like I need to start this video off with an apology. I'm so sorry to everyone who had to watch my old videos. I had to go back and re-watch my How I Got Twitch Partner in 2 Months video that I posted in 2018 so that I could make this video, and it was a horrible experience. But that's okay, that's why we do this. We can learn and improve and get better. It really should be illegal to watch your own stuff that's older than like a year. So I watched that video and I realized that a lot of the things that I was talking about were strategy, and I have a real problem with this because the more that I've streamed throughout the past 7 years since 2013, the more I've realized that strategy is actually not as important as we think it is. Strategy is awesome. It's great to know all of the things that you need to do in order to be successful and maintain that success as a streamer. You've probably watched all the YouTube videos about strategy already. You know what technology you're supposed to get, what graphics you're supposed to get, how often you're supposed to be streaming, but you're doing all these things and you're still not growing. Why? When I look back and I think about my own growth, of how I grew so quickly on Twitch, it wasn't because of the technology that I had or the graphics that I used. It was because of something that doesn't really get talked about. I grew as quickly as I did because I made a lot of internal changes, more internal changes than external strategic changes. What's up everyone, it's Ashni. I've been a stream coach since February of 2018, but I've been on Twitch since 2012, 2013. So I actually streamed for 4 years straight to 20 people. I had that incredibly frustrating plateau that I just could not break out of. Now obviously the title of this video is about how I got Twitch Partner in 2 months, so let me explain that part real fast. Even though I streamed to 20 people for 4 years, after that 4-year period, I actually ended up taking about a year off of Twitch, which means whenever I came back and I got partnered really quickly, none of those old viewers were still around. I built a completely different audience. I started over entirely from scratch after that 1-year break, and then after 2 months of starting again, that's whenever I ended up hitting my path to partner requirements. Like I said, I'm not going to go into the strategy in this video because you've heard that a million times already. You know you need to be consistent, talk to your chat, have a YouTube channel, whatever. If you want to get the actual strategies that I used in order to grow my channel so quickly, you can check out my ebook. There's a link for that down below. I'm going to get into the internal changes that I made, and as always, if you have any questions, you can come hang out with us in Discord at discord.gg/ashnichrist. The first thing that really shifted me from being an unsuccessful streamer that was really frustrated and jaded and overwhelmed and angry to being someone who was successful and happy was first realizing that education is way more important than I gave it credit for. Back whenever I took my year off of Twitch, there weren't actually any Twitch educators on YouTube. There wasn't a resource for me to go to learn more about audience development and how to become influential and all these other things that we talk about here on this channel and also that other stream educators talk about. And so what I had to do was go outside of the streaming industry and look for people who knew this information. Once I learned that that information was out there, I literally did nothing else but consume it for years. I didn't watch Netflix, I didn't listen to music, I didn't do anything except for learn. And the more I learned and studied about success, the more I realized that successful people are lifelong learners. This isn't something that you can just study for a couple of years, get really good at, and then you never have to improve anymore. You have to be dedicated to improvement throughout your entire career. And the stream educators that exist now are absolutely amazing, but there's so much crucial information that exists in other industries that you would benefit from so much if you went outside of the streaming industry and looked for it. Most of my knowledge actually came from online entrepreneurs and digital marketers, not from other streamers. And taking that information from other industries actually forced me to learn it better because it wasn't directly applicable to my situation. I had to look at the information that they were giving me and see and think about about how it applied to a completely different industry. And I think that's actually why I'm able to see information and kind of pick out the chunks that apply versus just assume that it applies to my specific situation, which is something that a lot of small streamers really struggle with. So commit yourself to learning, not just from me and other stream educators, but from anyone that you can. Another thing I used to do whenever I was small, this is one of the worst things I think that you can do as a streamer, is I would literally sit and wait for hosts and raids or getting lucky in order to grow my stream. I think a big part of this was because I expected success to just show up, because that's the story that I was getting told from everyone. I relied so much on the goodwill of other people instead of creating opportunities for myself. The truth is, no one's gonna save you. No one's gonna make your stream a success for you. You have to do it for yourself. But you can't do that if you're waiting around for the savior. I think part of this too was you don't really realize when you're a small streamer like where the opportunities are or what to do even if you do happen to see one. So the difference between me with 20 viewers and me with 250 viewers, 20 viewer me would sit there and wait. I didn't know to look for opportunities. I didn't know what to do whenever I saw them, and I didn't know how to create them for myself. Me with 250 viewers, however, I created opportunities to work with specific people. I reached out, I applied for things, and I got a lot of no's, but I got a lot of yeses too. However, I will say that just because you apply doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna get yeses at some point, because the stuff that you have to apply with is still important that it's good. So your content still has to be good. I have a free workbook for you if you want to check that out. That is the 6 exercises that I used to figure out who my audience was, who I wanted to serve, and how I could make better content. So get that if you haven't already. So telling you to go out and make opportunities for yourself and find opportunities for yourself is great, but how do you actually do that? This literally all comes down to your brand. Who is your audience, and what is the content that you're creating that's helping them receive some kind of transformation? It doesn't matter how many viewers you have, if the transformation that you're giving a specific group of people is good enough, you can work with so many different people, so many doors are going to open for you because you're doing something that's having a direct influence on other people's lives. I've actually got a video called How to Make Valuable Content that y'all can check out. That video should be way more popular than it actually is. That's like information I should be charging for. Other than knowing who your audience is and creating really great transformational content for them, all you can really do to get more opportunities for yourself is keep an eye on Twitter and make sure that you are nice to people, because a lot of your opportunities are going to come from the relationships that you've been developing throughout your years in the industry. And this is why it's so important that you become known for a specific thing, because if I'm known as a stream educator, the people who know me are going to give me the educational opportunities that they find. So you need to find a thing that you want to be known for and stick to it. Speaking of sticking to it, that's another massive internal change that I had. Whenever I was really struggling with viewership and I had that plateau, it was so hard to be consistent. So if you're a small streamer who's struggling with consistency, it's not really your fault. Part of the reason for this is because you're putting in a lot of time and energy and effort, but you're not seeing a ton of viewership growth from the energy that you're putting in. I usually say it's like going to the gym and never getting stronger. It's hard to consistently put time and effort into something if you're not seeing any results from that time and effort. So this is why it's really important that you have smaller goals and you also figure out how to stick with things even though you are not super thrilled with the results that you're receiving at the moment. Small streamers often rely on motivation, and the problem with this is that motivation is fleeting. It's something that comes and goes. Discipline is what you need to rely on. You want to be able to tell yourself to stick with things even though you are not necessarily enjoying the thing as much at the time. Another internal change that I made that really helped me grow my stream was I changed the way that I looked at criticism. I saw this really great graphic a while ago. I think it was from Dr. K. I'll try to find it and put it up on the screen, but it basically shows the difference between ego and confidence. If you're a small streamer who's operating from a place of ego and someone gives you a criticism, it's likely that criticism is going to shatter so much of what you do. It might make you completely change the direction that you are going with your content, or it could even really break you down emotionally and make you very, very sad. But if you're operating from a place of confidence, criticisms aren't going to break you, and instead you're going to be able to see them as the learning opportunity that they are. That means that criticism is going to end up becoming something that sharpens you and makes you better, as opposed to something that completely stops you in your tracks and prevents you from having the success that you want. This next internal change that I had felt really freaking weird, and it's going to be hard to describe if you haven't experienced it before. So what happened was I knew that I was a Twitch partner before I even hit my partnership requirements. I think part of this was that I was growing so quickly. I knew that if I just kept doing what I was doing, that I was going to hit the requirements that I needed to get Twitch partner. But also, part of this comes down to identity. If you want to get a promotion, which is essentially what Twitch partnership is, you don't just get the promotion and then start doing the work of the person who has that job. You do the work of that job and then you get the promotion. So really that's just a fancy way of saying act like a Twitch partner before you are one if you want to be one. Another change that I made is I ditched all of the victimization that I was doing of myself and instead took responsibility for the results that I was seeing. This means that I stopped blaming specific people because I wasn't growing, and instead I started focusing on my own growth and what I was doing within my community. It's really easy to fall into this trap too, because it's hard to look at your results and put them all on yourself if your results aren't very good. It makes you feel bad about yourself. When you see someone else thriving and you're not, it's really easy to blame that other person for your lack of success instead of taking responsibility, because that means that you're doing something wrong. And this is why learning to love criticism is so important. Even self-criticism. Whenever you can look at yourself and say, oh wow, what I'm doing is actually not very good, and it doesn't hurt your ego so much that it shatters you, that's whenever you're going to start turning into a way better creator. And that's why internal changes are so much more powerful than external strategy. Sure, be consistent, make a YouTube channel, but if someone gives you criticism and it stops everything that you're doing, all of the strategy in the world doesn't matter if you stop. If your internal compass and your confidence and your belief in yourself is really that shaky that criticism or other people's opinions can throw you off base immediately, how do you expect to stick with it? If you want to be successful as a person long term, not just as a streamer, but as a person, you have to start now investing time into personal development and making internal changes, because those are going to take you so much further than any crazy streaming strategy is going to. And once you make those internal changes, you're going to be able to take those internal changes into any industry, any venture, in your entire life, and that's gonna go so much further than just your Twitch stream. So the internal changes are actually why I got partnered so quickly, and they're why I'm gonna be successful no matter where I go. Another thing that used to really throw me off whenever I was a small streamer was this feeling like maybe I'm just not meant for Twitch. Maybe I'm not meant to be a streamer. So I made a video all about that and the different things that make you meant for being a streamer. Go and check that one out if you haven't already. I'll see you over there. Bye!